And welcome everybody to the Quality Hour. Here we are, the third Wednesday of January, January 19th, 2011. Who knew this world was going to go by this quickly? Remember when it was just trying to figure out what we were going to do in the busy season. Today's broadcast is brought to you live from Stevens Worldwide Van Lines headquarters. I am Joe Biskner, along with my great friend Jim Welsh. James, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Joe. The weather's great, sun's out, we're all in a very great positive moods, and we're going to have a great time here.
We are, because today we're going to talk about how to get business. So this is what it's all about here at the TCS Hour, how to improve your business, increase your profits, and retain and retrain and get new customers.
Exactly.
I want to remind the audience that at all times the phone lines are open. As you've experienced in the past, we always have better luck if you type in your question, and that question will get to us on the air. So we want your feedback. We want your questions. We'd like to know if we're missing anything. So as our presenters present today, if you've come up with something different that you think is valuable to our audience, please don't hesitate to put that question in. You'll be hearing very soon about our regional sales seminar. Details are coming up, but we've got two planned, one in Vegas, March 15th and 16th. That one always fills up fast, so if you're planning on and hoping to go to Vegas, mark your calendars today. For those of you that would like a little bit different venue, Philadelphia is always beautiful the early part of April. So you see the Liberty Bell and liberate your sales potential in Philadelphia, April 5th and 6th.
Oh, Joe, what's on that screen?
It can't be.
It is.
The packing boot camp?
It is, and it's coming up this April 29th and 30th by great demand. Our first was very successful. I know we see the word that it's in Saginaw, Michigan, but it's truly going to be in Bay City, Michigan, which is
Doubletree Hotel and Conference Center?
Doubletree Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel. It's right next to the river. The river will be frozen, and you bring your skates. So we're going to have a little skating party and cook marshmallows. But more importantly, we look for great attendance. We actually increased the space by a third of its size. We have some great presentations associated with how to provide a legendary relocation experience, because it involves many things, not just besides packing. So we're not only going to be working on our packing skills, we're going to be working on our people skills and creating a business culture that is focused on providing a legendary relocation experience. So as you know, it was a very inexpensive opportunity for your company to come and send us someone that would be your trainer and meet other folks around the country. What I noticed, Joe, last year was just not the hands-on training side of it, but how the interchange and interaction was happening with all the different types of service, folks there, and the learning process involved. So if any of you want to chat about this, just feel free to give me a call at extension 394.
Just one other question on that, Jim, and our production company does a great job of keeping us on task here so we get to the real meat of this presentation. But if any of our agents out there would like to promote and allow their employees to be one of our presenters, should they reach out to you for that as well? Because there was no better way for the sales staff and the rest of the company to find out the true heart of service providers than through those ladies and gentlemen that actually did the presentation. So how are you coming as far as people that will do some of the hands-on training?
Well, as you know, the first one, we used all of our TVOs that came in town that truly are quality individuals. If you have an individual in your particular agency that would fit that category and would like to teach someone how to pack a book box or a picture mirror box or be involved as an instructor, give me a call and we can discuss it. Be more than happy to work with them.
Great.
Okay, so we move on from that, and I guess I'm going to read this letter.
Would you please?
I certainly will. Hey, when I look at things like this, I look at keywords to see exactly how much our service providers exhibited a caring approach to the customer as well as an appreciation. And this happened to be a shipment, one of our corporate accounts, and it was serviced by Ray the Mover, and his organization packed the shipment, load the shipment, delivered the shipment, and unpacked it and took the debris away. And so I'll read this for those of you who don't have your glasses on. It says, I had a few special requests in this move that were handled timely and effectively. Some key words. So see if you can pick out the key words in some of these sentences. Very accommodating. Actually listened to what needs I had. Offered good suggestions on special items. Pleasant to my cats. That's important. And constantly busy. No downtime. Think of the perception that this customer had of our service providers in the home. Loading was quick and uneventful, which was nice. Left nothing behind and worked as a team. Amazing to watch, actually. Took special care in the house. No dings or damages. They did a great job, quick and efficient, like a band of locusts. I don't know where to go with that one. We'll just leave that alone. I still haven't unpacked, but that's my issue. They filled the room with all the boxes in neat rows so that they could be accessed. I was very pleased with their work and customer service. All really nice guys. Glad the loading crew could also deliver. That was great. I had always been a Mayflower person and Clark and Reed, but I have been very impressed by the service, rapport, knowledge, professionalism, and the entire Stevens team from the first contact to Ray the Mover contact, movers, drivers, and follow-up. I'm sure there's a dispatch behind the scenes who also made it all possible. Special thanks to Debbie Baird, who set the expectations and raised the bar and maintained it throughout the move to the present.
Well, you know, Jim, we often talk about this not being a glamorous business, but being compared to a band of locusts. Well, on the surface, you might say, how could somebody do that? But, I mean, think about the expectation is out there that we are going to do a good job. So it is all about efficiency, timeliness to the customer. It isn't about, what's going on with your day. They expect people to be busy and get the job done right. So to be able to create a legendary moving experience in this case is really remarkable.
What's key is that when you read that.
Oh, what mine wasn't key?
No, yeah. When you read this, it shows how we talk about how many touches we have as an organization to the customer. So that's why we talk about that all of us are part of the service chain, and have our own areas of responsibility. So I mean, great example. Moving forward, Joe.
Okay, just before we get into the real meat, I just want to again share with our audience how things are looking here for the next 45 days. We see it by business line, but the bottom line shows that this 45 days out this year, we've got 313 orders to load compared to 236 orders last year. So a nice increase in the number of shipments. When I look at the very positives, I see that our DP3 business is tracking very well. It proves that the work that we're doing is moving us up in the quartile rankings. And as importantly to me is that the work that we've done for our partners in the Hauler of Choice campaign has allowed them to maintain their position as well, because we're not seeing any decline in that business as well. So overall shipment count is very positive. Certainly we all have our challenges ahead of us as we deal with the changing revenue structure, but good news is business in shipment count is looking good this year compared to last year. Sorry you get a little bit of a delay there, but I want to make sure that we got a great audience view up to the right numbers before I start speaking to some of these charts. Next, we look at our pricing comparison, both on weight and then by zone. And while we do have some challenges with the pricing in some lower weight categories. As a whole, our pricing appears to be right about where we need it to be because we're not bumping up against that pricing guideline too frequently or in any one area too much. This pricing does reflect the new pricing that went into effect on the 1st of January, so it looks like the market is settling in and our product is being able to be sold at the pricing even with the rate increase. But if you're seeing any issues with the pricing guidelines, please reach out to Roger Weiss, Rick Peckstein, anybody in CAD, myself, or Jim Welsh, so that we can make the necessary corrections, or even reach out to our marketing department to make sure that you've got all of the programs that you need to sell the Stevens service. So let's not let the fear of a slight increase in the tariff degrade our business, because the customers will pay for our service. I want to finish up where we ended up in the 4th quarter. The last show that we did, we talked about the peak season. If you look at the long distance loadings, you see we had, again, a slight improvement in shipment count, but a noticeable decline in the average line haul. And as we move more toward the DP3 model, we're going to see that until we start to normalize here come the peak season. So congratulations. The consumer sales is tracking very strongly. DP3 is tracking very strongly, and the hauler of choice continues to track that way, while other lines of business still continue to improve and help us in our diversification strategy. Short haul orders really have taken off, and again, this is driven primarily by our being more competitive in the DP3 arena in short haul business. But again, let's not discount the impact that we're having on the consumer. So congratulations to you all out there. You are finding ways to get business and bringing those customers to Stevens. Thank you very much for that. Want to show you how well January's tracking. So at the same registration point in the year, this year versus last, again, we have a very, very healthy increase in shipment count. And those increases, again, are driven by consumer sales, DP3 sales, but really across the board, we're tracking very well in shipment count compared to last year. Again, challenges abound because average weights are getting smaller. Those people that are moving seem to be leaving things behind or getting rid of more items than they had in the past to try to get that relocation bill down. Once again, strong performance in the short haul arena. Okay, first time really that we've displayed this where we really saw a noticeable decline in the line haul, and I think if you really point out some things here, the DoD business that we're receiving, the old program DoD business that we're receiving this year, is very small in shipment size, and the rate has really declined. So as we see more business moving toward the DP3 model and the older business coming in at lower rates, we're going to see that trend continue. But again, overall, very pleased with the performance on the short haul traffic.
Oh, hey, Joe, the total customer satisfaction, our TCS scores. I think that everyone should take a bow. I know that we've been really focused on providing total customer satisfaction over the last 24 months, and our efforts are proving that we're getting there.
And we're able to sustain it. So this wasn't a spike.
Exactly.
We're sustaining it.
And that's important, because just not getting to a certain goal, more importantly, it's how you stay there. But we have shown that we can do that. So if you were to write down a couple of heavy buzzwords that you're going to hear a lot coming up here in 2011, and one would be legendary, and another one will be structure. And that means that structuring the organization to be able to provide a legendary relocation experience. And hopefully every TCS quality hour that comes across here in 2011 zeroes in on that topic. And our topic for the February one is how to hire employees that care, because obviously the customer wants to know if we care and appreciate their business. But as our scores, I know that we talk about getting to 95, and we're just a little bit here under 91 here for 2010. But our other product, our individual product lines are busting right there at 95 with our corporate business. We have made strides within what we believe, in the DoD product line. So, kudos to everyone. Stay focused. It's all about quality. When you provide quality, it's unbelievable the doors and opportunities that open up to you, not just your organization, but to your salespeople, from referrals to unannounced opportunities. Because when you can talk about quality, you can never argue against that.
Right.
So, onward.
The shipment studies that we received from AMSA, we've got the latest counts through November. Again, to talk about taking a bow, here again, our performance has outperformed the industry. So people can tell you more people are moving, that's why business is up. But our business overall is up 12.7%. The industry is reporting 5.1%. When you look at this chart, we've got an increase across all business lines, and we're beating the industry across all business lines. So congratulations again. Isn't it nice to have a quality product that you can go out and sell the marketplace? And this is the result of having that product.
Yeah, and that's what just rang in my mind exactly when I look at those numbers, Joe. We did this because we improved our quality, number one. And I know that our corporate people will talk about that. And, across the board, quality made a major impact on our ability to take a bigger share of the pie that's not necessarily getting bigger.
Last up, I always want to share with you how we're performing. Okay, so we're doing a decent job here in getting our shipments processed, paperwork processed through, and getting our invoices out and our payments to our agents. So in the fourth quarter, we really upped the ante versus a year ago and sped up the process of getting money to our agents, even by processing 700 more invoices this year than we processed last year. So right now we're about 31 days from shipment delivery to getting the money to your door, and so much of that is dependent upon your getting the paperwork into us. If you are not taking advantage of ACH payments, please contact Carol Howell or Bonnie Deneen in our accounting department so that we can get money to your bank account faster. Okay, we want to invoice as quickly as we can, distribute that revenue, and get the money to you, because strong agents make for a strong van line. So we want to support you in that way and help us out in any way that you can. Okay, now for the real reason that we're here. We've got in studio our own Ed Melton, who is our Vice President of Marketing.
Hello.
Ed, how are you?
Great to be here.
And live from California, right, is Rick Peckstein. Rick, you're on, right?
Yes, sir. California by way of Florida.
Oh, okay. That's right. So, welcome, gentlemen. You guys are going to talk about lead sources. So, we're going to turn the mics over to you, and please walk us through this.
Great. Well, it's good to be here. Everybody's talking about how do we get into more opportunities, how do we get leads, how do we increase our revenue. It's a hot topic right now that people are talking about. We're certainly doing a lot on this end to develop some programs to help in that regard. But what really comes down to is it comes down to personal, and professional sales involvement and getting your sales team engaged in your marketplaces to develop leads. And we're going to do a lot of things to supplement that effort with call centers and web strategies and blogging and news releases and things like that. But when you track the closing ratio on all of the different sources of business, the leads that you generate on your own are going to outperform anything that we can do electronically by far, by not just a little bit, by a lot. So we're going to talk about that. Rick and I are going to talk about these topics today. If you watched Regis and Kelly this morning, you've already seen this presentation, but just bear with us and we'll go through this. Jerry? So the things we're going to talk about today specifically is how to work with real estate agents. This is a topic that we talk about all the time, but hopefully we can share maybe some new strategies there. We're going to talk about the senior market and all the different opportunities that are in that market. We're going to talk about national accounts. We're going to hit on internet leads and pros and cons of getting your leads from the internet. So I'll be covering the first part and the last part, and then Rick's going to cover the two in the middle. And we'll be bouncing back and forth, so Rick, just feel free to chime in here at any point, as this is a dual presentation. So let's talk about real estate agents for a minute and real estate leads. So we talk about this all the time. We've been talking about working with real estate agents since the beginning of time in this industry, and it's still true today that in the private relocation world, getting leads from directly from real estate agents on a referral basis is still going to be the very best lead that you can possibly get. And that's the truth today as it was 25 years ago. The real key is, how do you do it? What are some strategies to get to real estate agents? How do I work with them on a consistent basis? Those of us that have been in this business a long time know that real estate relationships seem to start and stop. You know, I get real estate leads for a while, then I don't get them anymore, or the real estate agent leaves the agency and goes somewhere else, and there seems to be a lot of start and stops with these relationships. And so how do you keep them going? How do you continue to have this as a source of referrals is always the trick. We did a conference call, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, for the sales meeting last week. And we talked about some of these strategies. I'm going to just kind of circle back and talk about a couple of those. And we talked about some things that you can do in 2011 that will help you in your business. One of the things we talked about was growing your skills. One of the skills we said you should grow is learn how to run an effective real estate meeting. And after that meeting, after that conference call, I got a call from a few salespeople that said, you know, Ed, I did a couple of real estate meetings last year. They seemed to go pretty well. What do you think I should do to improve that? And first of all, I said, the first thing I heard you say is, I did a couple of real estate meetings last year. That's not enough. You really have to engage with the real estate market, and you have to get involved and get in that circuit of sales meetings and do it more frequently. Learn how to do an effective real estate meeting and do several a month throughout your organization, and you'll start getting these referrals that you want. So that's key. The personal business development key is to learn how to do a real estate meeting. So how do you do a real estate meeting? You've heard me say it probably 5 times now on one of these type calls. The most effective way to do a real estate meeting, in my opinion, is simply this. You come up with a very short 5-minute presentation, not more than that. You call the real estate agent, say, I want to get on your schedule to do one of your sales meeting schedules. You go out, you pick up a $25 gift card to Starbucks or wherever, Coffee Beanery here in this part of the country, and you do a 5-minute presentation on your company. At the end, you say, I have a $25 gift card I want to give away. Please get out a business card. And hopefully you've got 20, 25 realtors in the room. On the back of that business card, I want you to write a 1, a 2, or a 3. A 1 means I have a lead for you right now that I need addressing. Number 2 means that I don't have any leads for you, but it's okay to call me, and maybe we can network together. And number 3 means, please don't call me or contact me. I'm already working with another mover. 1, 2, or 3, pass them to the front. You do the drawing, you give out the Starbucks card, and you're out of there in 10 minutes or less. The sales manager is really going to appreciate that, because you're out of the way, so you can continue on with this sales call, and you're going to leave every time with leads. Almost every time you're going to leave with leads. Now, how many times do you do that? It's up to you, but I'd recommend that you do this several times a month. Spread yourself around the city, and you will get a lot of leads. I used an example of a rep that I knew in the Baltimore market that did several of these leads. He got 100% of his own. He developed 100% of his own appointments using this strategy only. He went from sales meeting to sales meeting to sales meeting to sales meeting. Now, most of you say, well, I've got a couple of real estate relationships now. Isn't that enough? Well, think about it. The average real estate agent has between 10 and 15 listings at any one time. And that real estate agent, if they're really good, is going to sell 1 or 2 properties a month. That could be a piece of land, it could be a mobile home, it could be a house, but they're going to sell 1 or 2 properties a month. So 1 or 2 good leads a month from a couple of real estate agents clearly isn't enough. So you really have to get involved in the real estate community and spread yourself around. If you just have a couple of really good real estate friends, it's not going to be enough to fill your calendar, so you're going to be relying on other sources to get those leads. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is because referrals are so important and they close at such a high rate, and most of the people on this call today probably track their closing ratios by source anyway, and you know what I'm talking about when I say that direct real estate referrals, a real referral, and that is when somebody picks up the phone or sends you an email and says, my client is moving, I want you to give them an appointment, please use my name. That's a real referral. Those are going to close 75% of the time, 75%, or higher. Sometimes it's as high as 9 out of 10. An internet lead, on the other hand, is only going to close 20% of the time. So now what's happening to our COD salespeople right now? The vast majority of the appointments that I see when I look at calendars are coming from internet sources. So you look at the average COD salesperson in our industry right now. There's 250 sales days a year, approximately. The typical COD rep's going to do 500 appointments a year. 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, that rep was going to close about 150 deals, 35%, and they're going to make about just about between $52,000 and $55,000 a year on 500 appointments. On those same 500 appointments today, that same COD rep is going to make about $45,000. So nobody likes to take a pay cut, and all of your COD reps are not happy about the $7,000 pay cut they took. But that's what's happening, not all across the nation, across our competitors. If you talk to your competitors, they'll tell you the same thing. So why is that? It's all about lead source, and so I want you to concentrate on that. Last thing I want to say about real estate leads, actually there's two things I want to talk about, but getting back to the MLS leads. For a long time, we got away from traditional MLS because the average days on market went from 40 days to 140 days when the real estate market started going down. When the real estate market collapsed, the MLS leads weren't as good anymore because as soon as they go on the market, they're not looking for a mover right away because they're going in for the long haul. So that is changing now. The average day on market in most markets is now getting back to somewhere in the normal range of 45 to 90 days. So it's a good time just to look at those real MLS leads again, get them back into your rotation, get them back to your telemarketers and start prospecting to those again like you used to. A lot of people got away from MLS leads for a long time. I think it's time to revisit that. There's another lead source that I want you to consider, and this is a relatively new idea, and the reason for this is, again, because of the crash of the real estate market, the expired listing list is larger than it's ever been before. People, because their houses aren't selling, they get frustrated with the realtors, so they switch realtors and they relist. They let their listing expire, and they wait a couple of months, and they relist again. They're still moving. They still have plans to go south or retire, whatever they're doing, but they're relisting. So that expired listing list is valuable to movers, and it's much larger than it's ever been. There are some white papers out on the internet now about real estate agents that have specific marketing plans for relisting or expired listings. And they're claiming that they're able to pick up 1 or 2 new listings a week just from this list. So think about that. These are people that are still moving, but it hasn't, they've either given up on their mover or if they've gotten an estimate at all, but they're hot leads for us. So we can call them maybe the only mover that's calling off that list. So how do you get this list? Just ask your real estate people. They'll give you got a good relationship with a realtor, they'll give you that expired listing list, and you can start prospecting to that list because eventually those folks will relist with somebody else, and they're going to move, and we'll be the first ones on. So that's just an idea there. So just to sum up what I just said about real estate agents, it's all about referrals. It's all about getting referrals from realtors, doing a lot of really valuable sales meetings, and getting in your market, spreading yourself around, MLS leads and expired listing leads, and that will help you put more appointments on your calendars, and that's what it's all about. Rick, turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. No, this is still you, Ed.
Oh, geez, yeah, we're talking about the other missed opportunities in your markets as well. I forgot we were talking about this. But some of these missed opportunities, you think about if you have high-end rental facilities in your marketplaces, it's a great place to get more appointments. And this is a kind of a missed opportunity because it's one of those areas that we rarely market to. There is no MLS for rentals. You can't buy a rent roll from somebody that's in the rental community. You can on the commercial side, but you can't the residential side. They won't sell that information to you. They only do that on that side. So it's important that you network with these. Most of these property managers and building managers are looking to have a list of preferred movers in that building. Get familiar with that building, not only the building itself, but the access to the building, the times you can go in and out of the building, start networking to those folks. They're on those high end. I know there's several high-end facilities in Detroit and San Francisco and LA, all these major that have people that are not moving themselves. In fact, a lot of these buildings won't even allow you to have a self-move happen. You have to hire a mover, and they have a list of movers. Say, look, here's one of the rules to move into this facility, and these are going for $500,000 and up. You have to use a mover, and it has to be one of these on our list. So you have to move during this time frame, and so that's a great opportunity. So if you're not networking with those high-end realtors, make sure you do it. The other missed opportunity, I think this is huge. Every COD appointment has opportunities. And a lot of COD reps just forget about this because they get so wrapped up in the sales call, so wrapped up in the close, so wrapped up in the presentation, they forget about the other opportunities. Who's moving into your house? Just simply ask the question. Who's your real estate agent that you're using? And who else in your neighborhood is also moving that might need my services? Asking those three questions and getting disciplined enough to ask those three questions on every sales call is going to increase your appointments. And but it's difficult to do. This is all about sales management and sales training and trying to get that discipline. It's not easy to get people to change their routine, but that will develop more appointments. And any of the stuff that you do, by the way, make sure you track it so you can go back to your sales meeting and you can reinforce this behavior by giving them actual numbers. So now I think I'm done with real estate. Sorry, Rick.
No problem. I know you love an opportunity to talk, Ed, so now I'll jump.
Better.
Let me clear my voice here. Let's talk a little bit about national accounts. Not everyone is in a major market, but even if you're in a smaller market, one account can make a huge difference in your bookings. And we're talking about a balance of leads and diversification. Just to give you an example of one of our smaller agents, our agent in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which I would not consider a large market, I don't think anyone would, has one account, a medical account, and they're doing probably over $50,000 a year with them. So the opportunity to go after leads in national accounts is extremely important. So where do we find these national account leads? There's quite a diverse area that you can find them from, but some of the things we're going to talk about here are the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Journal, Hoover's, classified ads, employment jobs, networking, and social media. Let's start with the Chamber of Commerce. Every city has a Chamber of Commerce, whether it's a small city or large. It's a local organization of businesses whose goal is to further the interest of business. Business owners in towns and cities from these local groups get together to advocate on behalf of the business community. Membership in a typical chamber can range from a few dozen in the smaller markets to well over 300,000 people. The activities of a Chamber of Commerce include, provision of useful business contacts, business services, events and networking opportunity, and business courses and seminars. Actively participating in your local Chamber of Commerce is imperative to successfully developing national account business. The Chamber in every city is a real hub of business activity, and it'll provide you with a number of resources for finding account business. Participating in the Chamber provides you with the opportunity to meet with key decision makers who have an impact on new companies that have an interest in moving to the area, and developing a relationship with members gives you an inside track on information about these new companies And if you handle it correctly, it gives you a chance to have a first shot at sending information to these companies as they anticipate moving into your market. So get involved in the chamber and use your contacts to open new doors to business. Every chamber publishes what I consider the Bible for national account leads, which is called the Book of Lists. It's basically a list of all the major companies that are domiciled in your market, broken down by business type, and has information about the number of employees, key personnel, and other pertinent information. Sometimes it'll even list who the human resources manager is, which is the person that you're going to be contacting. So you definitely need to go to your Chamber of Commerce and get hold of a book of lists. They normally cost $20 or $25, but it's basically a Bible of national account leads. Next is a business journal. Every market has a local business journal. It's usually like a newspaper that's published on a weekly basis, and it's full of information about business activities, what is happening, and what is changing. You'll find tons of O&I leads there. There'll be information about companies moving into and out of different areas of your city. You can actually subscribe to it online for a reasonable cost, or you can actually get a hard copy, but read it faithfully every week to be on top of what is happening in the business community. When it comes to the internet, there's a site called Hoovers that offers all kinds of business information through the internet. The Hoovers website has a database of information on more than 65 million corporations and organizations and more than 85 million people. You can search companies by name, geography, and industry. You can use Hoover's free site to search company addresses and phone numbers. Basically, it doesn't cost anything, and it's a great way to access information that's out there about accounts. Our marketing department at Stevens also is responsible for maintaining a national account database, and I think we have almost 7,000 contacts there. It's a virtual library of corporate business contacts. The database serves as a reference tool for assigned target accounts. So if you're thinking of calling on a national account, contact the marketing department or work with Roger or Rick to see if current information is available regarding that particular company. So we have the resources right in Stevens as well. Another thing to take a look at that a lot of people never even think about is the classified ads. Next time on a Sunday when you're drinking a cup of coffee and going through your paper, pull out the classified ads, and basically you can find companies that are hiring. A lot of times they're just hiring locally, but it'll also give you a good idea of who is hiring and expanding. Back to the website again, there's tons of employment job sites. Some of the bigger ones are Monster.com and Career Builder. Just go on those websites as well and type in your city. You'd be surprised to find the number of job opportunities that are there, so you'll find out companies that are in a hiring mode. Probably the most important thing is networking. Ed and I are going to talk about that a little bit later, but networking is extremely powerful in terms of developing national account business. You've got to get out there and mingle, get to know people, and develop contacts. Basically just become involved in your community in as many ways as possible. The more contacts you establish, the stronger your opportunity to find new business. Get involved in things like the Rotary, Kiwanis, Elks, and Lions. Every city has a Rotary. Normally they limit the number of movers. In most cities they might have 1 or 2 movers. Gives you a real chance to rub elbows with all the business leaders in the community. It's going to be full of bankers, engineers, all different types of people that will give you some great opportunities. Most cities have what's called the SHRM, which is a Society of Human Resource Managers, which is a group of the human resource managers in your particular market. There's also a national SHRM as well. Leads groups are a great way to get involved in networking. Pretty much every city right now has what's called the BNI, Business Networking International. What they do is it's a group of 15 to 20 people in different areas of business that meet on a weekly basis to exchange leads and learn more about each other's companies. And they always limit it to one particular business, so you're not competing with anybody. Volunteer groups, any type of charities. I know a lot of agents do that as well. It's a smart thing to do. Basically, just do whatever it takes to get involved and get known in your business community. It's really all about the people you know and how many contacts you can make. Last but not least, in today's technological society is the social media. It's a great opportunity to open your world through new contacts with things like LinkedIn and Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Especially from a national account lead source, LinkedIn is extremely good for getting contacts with people in national accounts. So take advantage of the opportunities available to network and build your base of contacts. When you attend your next networking event, remember that networking isn't about closing business or meeting new people. It's about developing relationships in which future business can occur. All right, Jerry, can we go to the next slide? Probably the biggest expanding market right now is the seniors or the baby boomers, of which I'm proud to be a part of. Baby boomers are basically people that were born between 1945 and 1964, and amazingly, there's 78 million of them out there. They're responsible for over 50% of all consumer spending, so I mean, it's definitely a market that we need to look at. The first baby boomers are reaching retirement age now at 65. The typical boomer does not believe old age begins until age 72. About half of the boomers say they feel younger than their age, and 61% of boomers feel more spry than their age would imply. That kind of rhymes a little bit. So take a look at the senior-friendly materials. Basically, what I would recommend on that is on your websites, if you take a look at the Stevens website, when the pictures change, we do have a senior couple that's shown on that. And that's something you should also take a look at on your graphics to show a senior couple, and make sure your website reflects an interest in working with seniors. Then when we get to the actual senior activities and places to find them, start with the assisted living facilities, and the first one is your active living communities. They're basically all across the country. They're known as independent living, and they're being developed for seniors as young as 50 years old. They typically have a clubhouse, social activities, fully independent living in condominiums and single-family homes. You definitely want to get to know each of these communities in your territory. Stop in and visit the manager. Talk about the importance of professional movers taking care of their community and its property. Mention any residents you have moved out of their development. And these folks may also appreciate a promise of like a $10 Starbucks card for any referrals that move with you to give them an incentive. Also, there may be a very inexpensive advertising opportunity in their community newsletter, which goes out to all the members. These communities are big marketers. They may even offer to pay for moves as an incentive to gain new residents. Be sure to get involved in this. Assisted living facilities. These communities offer different services from the active living. While community activities are still part of the draw as in the previous one, these communities offer varying levels of medical and life assistance to enable residents to remain independent as long as possible. Here again, these are not self-movers. All of the same approaches would apply as with active living. Sometimes these moves are very significant downsize moves, which means you may have the opportunity to do several smaller moves for the family members. Next is senior move managers. Have you met the senior move manager in your city? You definitely should. Every city has one. This is an entire industry that is developed to assist seniors as they transition out of their long-term environment into a senior housing environment. Senior move managers are trained in all of the areas that are important to retired folks. Selling to this group requires an understanding of the importance of patience and high service levels needed to service older clients. Talk about your training and how professional and patient your crews are. To find the senior moves in your area, senior move managers in your area, go on the web to NASMM.org, National Association of Senior Move Managers, and click on Find a Senior Move Manager. There'll be a listing there of probably several in your city. Last but not least is an opportunity to work with some of these facilities in terms of their remodeling, give you some FF&E opportunities, some opportunities to move new furniture in and out as they remodel. So it's definitely something to take a look at as well. So the senior market is a market that really needs to be looked at. Like I said, 78 million strong, something we should definitely follow up on. All right, Ed.
Great. And just a couple more things on the senior I attended a senior housing show in LA late last year, and I was pretty amazed. Here's the LA Convention Center filled with vendors going after that market. And as I walked around, one thing that I noticed is how many construction companies and designers were there. These things are being built at an alarmingly fast pace, and what they're building is amazing facilities, country club type settings. And as I talk to these folks, these administrators of these assisted living homes and long-term care homes, I asked the question: what percentage of the people in your community move in from out of state? And it was a real clear answer. It was either 70% or 0, consistently. And so you start looking at, okay, it made sense. The folks that were the assisted living homes in San Diego and some of these destination places, high frequency of those folks are moving in from out of state. Then I talked to this gal from Erie, Pennsylvania. She said, 100% of my people move in here from a 20-mile radius. So it all makes sense. They're building these things on the coast, by the water, and these folks are looking to build relationships with movers and developing a program to help them help attract people as an incentive to move in. So it's really important. But then the other thing was all these designers. And like, what are you designers here for? They said, well, the older assisted living, traditional nursing homes, they're having a very fast-paced remodeling and upgrading their facilities, or they're going to be simply out of business if they don't do that. So there's a huge market there that you can go after as well. So if you have older nursing homes in your market, stop by and ask if you guys have a remodel on the plans, and I bet you a good percentage of them will. So, okay.
Yeah, just real quick, Ed, a lot of these are very upscale communities too. I know our agent in Nashville, North Carolina, which is a pretty affluent area, has a assisted living facility there where the one bedrooms start at $250,000. So I mean, they're extremely upscale, and I mean a great opportunity for agents to really get some good moving business.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about internet leads for a minute. Internet leads really fastly became one of the most popular ways to get business in our industry over the last 4 or 5 years, and it continues to grow. Those of you that are working on your websites right now and trying to figure out how to get on the front page of Google have quickly found out how difficult it is and how much competition there is in our industry online. It is amazing. And even professionals will tell you, man, there's a lot of competition in your industry online. One of the most competitive industries out there online is the moving and storage industry. So it's tricky to get good leads. The consumer really cannot tell by going online whether they're dealing with a van line or a mover or a local mover or a lead aggregate or some other type of broker. It's very hard for them to tell. They all look the same. So it's tough. And it's tough to be competitive. And what I wanted you to be thinking about is what the customer is going through when they're buying these leads. They're filling out a form, and they're expecting something to happen. Some of them think they're going to get a price. Some of them expect to get a couple of calls. But what they're getting is bombarded with calls from 7 or 8 movers. I talked to an internet provider yesterday from a company called Expedia Movers. He also owns a company called Orbitz Movers. I said, oh, so you guys are owned by Expedia and Orbitz. No, we're not. We're not any way connected with those companies. But guess what the consumer thinks? And he was pretty happy to tell me that he only sells his leads to 6 movers instead of 8. And, although that's better, that's still a lot of competition. So you got to realize that these things are tricky. And as we roll out our call center, that is really being fueled primarily from internet leads, or 100% by internet leads, we need to work together to try to maximize our efforts here. And just some things you got to be thinking about. Because you are getting several calls from several movers, you need to be the first on the phone. You need to be calling them, confirming. You need to do something to differentiate yourself from the other movers that are calling. As an industry, we tend to go to the path of least resistance, and we all do that. We all understand that this is the easiest way to fill our calendars is to buy leads off the shelf. And I'm pretty sure, Joe, that we'll probably be having that strategy for a long time, buying leads off the shelf. It's going to be part of what we do. It's going to help us fill our gaps. And there's a lot of good leads that come on us, so don't get me wrong, but it should be a supplement to what we're doing and not our primary source, because our closing ratios are going to go way down. We're going to be seeing our COD reps taking a bigger hit year after year. So keep that in mind. That's part of our life. Electronic media is probably 60% of what we do in marketing today, Jerry, maybe more. It's a very big part. But just keep in mind that they are tricky and they can be difficult. So,
Can I ask a question? Since I'm right
sure,
here.
why not?
Type it in.
I'm typing. Am I on, Kurt? Thank you. Since I'm right here, I don't have to type it in. We're talking about lead and lead generation. From your background experience from the agency side, Ed, the thing that a salesperson hates to do most is prospect. That's been my experience with that. I've also noticed that some of the most successful salespeople, they're working between 40 and 50 hours a week. So in your opinion, how many hours a week out of that 40 to 50 should be planned for prospecting, which in essence is generating your leads and working with your lead sources?
Depending on the time of year, but I'm going to say that number should be 5 or 10 hours a week. And the way you get this done, and the only way we get this done, we've had calls on this topic, is you got to schedule it like it's an appointment. If you don't put it in your calendar and you block out the time, it just never gets done. Because you're right. Nobody likes, very few salespeople. There's a couple of crazy loons like me that love cold calling. I love getting just a list and just pounding away. I'm crazy like that. But most people aren't.
Right. Until
they see that success, and that prospect is rarely gets done if you don't put it in your calendar. And what will happen is that calendar will get filled in with appointments, and you'll lose a week, then another week, and another week. And I guess what happens after 4 weeks becomes a habit. That non-prospecting behavior becomes a habit after about 4 weeks. So you got to be real careful about that.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention before I get off internet leads is remarketing, and this is another strategy that we're going to be doing here at headquarters. If you're buying internet leads, we're converting about anywhere between 12 and 15% of those leads into actual appointments. So somewhere between 80 and 85% of all the leads that we buy, we never get to. We never sell them anything. So we have decided to start a remarketing campaign to those leads, and I encourage you to do the same thing. What that looks like will be different for all of you. You have to determine that. But since you have their email address, it's inexpensive and could be valuable. I say could be because we haven't tested it yet. It could be valuable to reach out to those folks and try to get them engaged in some way, because we know that a certain percentage of those are not going to move right away. A certain percentage are just fishing for pricing right now. And so let's do something with those leads. You've already bought them. You have their email address. So think about doing some sort of an inexpensive remarketing campaign to those folks. It's going to be a huge number of leads that we buy here at headquarters next year that are going to be unused without this remarketing. So we hope to be able to tell you more about that here soon. So we're going to get into networking, and Rick and I are just going to kind of bounce off each other here on this. And I just want to make just a general statement about networking. Most salespeople will tell you that, yeah, I understand that I should be networking. I understand that's an important piece of my sales career. But if you go out and ask the question, well, what is networking to you? You'll get all kinds of strange answers, and oftentimes you'll get a deer in the headlight looks. It's like, I really don't know what it is. So as a sales manager, you have to be thinking about that and understanding that a lot of salespeople really don't understand what networking is. Now, there are different types of networks that you can plug them into, but oftentimes what happens is a salesperson mistakes activity with networking. So they're doing the activity you've asked them to do. They're attending the meetings. It's in my calendar every week. I go to the chamber meetings like you told me to, boss. And they're confusing activity with actual networking and what that means. So it's what they do at those meetings that really matters. It's not who you know, it's how well you know them that really matters, and that's what networking is. It's figuring out a way to build strategic alliances with other business professionals that you can work together to build each other's business. That's what networking is all about. And so we talked about the strong networks already. We talked a little bit about the casual networks. And then there are some industry-specific networks that can be very valuable. Rick mentioned one, Society of Human Resource Managers. Another one is for O&I salespeople, the International Facility Management Association. Any of these industry-related opportunities, the best way to network is to get involved in those on the committee level. All of these organizations are looking for volunteers to help them run their organization, their nonprofit organizations. So get in there, get involved in the community level, meet the people there, and you will see business come your way over time. Be patient about that, but it will happen over time. So committee work in these industries are very, very important. I'll turn it over to you, Rick. So I made up, I'll have the slide.
It's just a matter of getting involved in your community, and I think every sales manager or every owner should, take the next step and make sure that every single one of your salespeople, whether it's COD or national account, is involved in some type of networking group, whether it's a leads group, business networking international, attending the chamber. But I mean, make it a policy that every salesperson gets involved in some way or shape or form in networking.
It's go ahead.
If I could just add,
absolutely.
You struck a chord with me when you said it's not who you know, it's how well you know them. When you're networking, it's how well they know you. So simply going and getting everybody's business card to know who somebody is doesn't do it. They've got to know who you are. So don't just go, have the breakfast, and say that you went. People have to know who you are, and they'll know who you are when you get involved in their committees and when you're active in the organization.
That's great. That's a great point. And let's not forget that a lot of times people don't know how to give you a referral. They'd love to give you a referral, but they don't really get it. If they don't understand. So you have to explain it to people. You go, oh, by the way, my business is exactly this. This is how I get my business. This is what my clients look like. People appreciate that because when people get to know you, you're involved in a network, they want to give you leads. So oftentimes, because our industry is something people deal with every day, they don't know how to give you a lead. So you got to make sure you're not shy about that. You explain to them what you're looking for. Rick, I wanted to mention a little bit more about social networking. It's 1 o'clock, but can I have another minute? 60 seconds? 1 minute, Jerry says. This is really a fun place to hang out, and I've been hanging out on LinkedIn for about 4 years now. I have access to about 12 million people on that network, and it's about 580 direct connections gives me that access to 11 to 12 million people. When I got on LinkedIn 4 years ago, there was only 2 million people in the whole social network, so it's growing fast. An amazing opportunity on LinkedIn because there's a lot of tools, and I'll be doing LinkedIn training that you can participate in later in the year. But one of the things you can do is search for contacts. When you're calling on accounts, the very first place I go now is LinkedIn. I want to know who the HR manager is at this company. The very first place I go is LinkedIn. It certainly wasn't that way 3 years ago. And you can usually find a real contact. I've booked some significant accounts personally through LinkedIn, and lots of business has been produced through that. Lots of different ways to do it, but it's a wonderful tool. But Facebook now is really starting to take on a business culture of itself as well. Really was developed as a personal relationship social network, quickly becoming part of the business environment. So keep in touch with that as we all learn, and we learn every day about how to make that happen. And blogging, blogging is just a term for writing information about your business or your company on blogs, either one on your website or an external blog, and getting the word out about your business. I tell this one last quick story. The sales rep that I knew in San Francisco wrote a story about office moving 10 years ago. 10 years ago, he wrote this, basically how to prepare for an office move, And if you Google that today, it still pops up on either the first or second page of Google. Why is that? Because there's not a lot written about our industry in that format on the internet. So it's a great opportunity for us is to write articles that are valuable to the general public and put it out there, because there just isn't that much out there about us right now. That'll change, but Office Moving Massana, M-A-S-S-A-N-A, type that in Google and you'll find this guy's article. It's still there. It's even not that great of an article. Sorry, Joe, but it's not. But that's his name, by the way, Joe. All right, thanks.
Okay, I think that we've had some one-on-one questions that Greg's been able to deal with. They were specific questions for specific instances, so we won't really have anything that is necessary to open up to the broadcast. I really want to thank Ed and Rick for their participation today. I say that you've created many an aha opportunity, so I'm sure everyone in our audience found out something today that they didn't know before they came to this broadcast, and they've got something that they can move forward that will help to increase their lead sources and ultimately increase their business.
Oh, this is great stuff. I mean, if I were to put something on the wall, networking is not who you know, but how well you know them and how well they know you. I mean, that is something you could literally right now go into your word processor and print it up in big bold letters and hang it on the wall. Yep. It really summarizes some things. Well, as we continue on, Joe, with our TCS Quality Hours, in a discussion last week that I had with the folks from Executive and Chuck Bailey, he brought a great topic that he wanted us to surface and to discover and to present on how you hire employees who care. And we're going to do that. In fact, Jan Price, our Vice President of Human Resources, will be the chairperson on this topic. I know that we'll be talking extensively with Chuck, because Chuck has some very tried methods that he uses. So we're going to share them with the group and hopefully get Chuck involved in our show next time. For those of you who are listening, if you have any means or methods that you use to determine whether or not that person you are hiring in your company cares, please pass them along to us, and we'll make sure we present them.
And as we frame that out, we'll get some things out so that people understand what we're trying to accomplish, and maybe those ideas will come forward. And certainly Chuck will share in all the royalties of next month's show as being the first agent to present an idea for us to present, and we thank him for that, and we want to encourage anyone else out there with an idea for a show to help us, to help you. Your feedback is what drives us to provide the content that's necessary to, first of all, to not just survive, but to really strive towards that legendary relocation experience and drive our business forward. So with that, again, I thank Ed and I thank Rick, and I look forward to seeing you on February 16th for the TCS Quality Hour about hiring customers who care. At this point, employees, well, yeah, hiring customers doesn't make sense, does it? Thanks, Jim. Thanks for that correction. All right, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us. Hope that you got something valuable out of it, and we thank you again and sign off now.